From coding to chemistry, they paved the way. A brighter future every single day. They're brilliant, they're strong, and endlessly bold. An inspiration for the young and the old. Women of color in STEM, breaking down doors, breaking stereotypes, and so much more. Their contributions to science and tech will inspire generations to come, you bet. Innovators and trailblazers aren't afraid to speak. Their stories of success are the ones we need to seek. Their brilliance and talent can't be denied. Women of color in STEM, we stand by your side. Women of color in STEM, breaking down doors, breaking stereotypes, and so much more. Their contributions to science and tech will inspire generations yet to come, you bet. You bet. Women of color in STEM, keep reaching for the stars. Your accomplishments will take us far. You are the future, you are the change. Let your brilliance shine. It's time to rearrange. She's got a mind that's sharp as a knife, breaking barriers every day of her life. In a field where she's often the only one, her determination can be undone. Women of color in STEM, breaking down doors, breaking stereotypes, and so much more. Their contributions to science and tech will inspire generations to come, you bet. From coding to chemistry, they paved the way. A brighter future every single day. They're brilliant, they're strong, and endlessly bold. An inspiration for the young and the old. Women of color in STEM, breaking down doors, contributions to science and tech will inspire generations yet to come. You bet. You bet. Women of color in STEM keep reaching for the stars. Your accomplishments will take us far. You are the future, you are the change. Let your brilliance shine. It's time to rearrange. She's got a mind that's sharp as a knife, breaking barriers every day of her life. In a field where she's often the only one, her determination can be undone. Women of color in STEM breaking down doors, breaking stereotypes and so much more. Their contributions to science and tech will inspire generations to come. You bet. From coding to chemistry, they paved the way. A brighter future every single day. They're brilliant, they're strong, and endlessly bold. An inspiration for the young and the old. Women of color in STEM breaking down doors, breaking stereotypes and so much more. Their contributions to science and tech will inspire Ladies and gentlemen, gather round tonight, a celebration of stars shining so bright. Trailblazing woman, applause resounds in this room, magic and achievement abound. Waves of transformation rolling through. Here to prove what dedication can do. Here to prove what dedication can do. Decades of recognition, changes we've known, challenges and innovation in every song. Honor we stand as beacons, guiding light, facing the unknown, fighting the good fight, fighting the good Powerful knowledge, challenges embraced, pioneering solutions in this changing space. galaxy so fast, transforming the unknown future's cast. A testament to diversity's power, their achievements shining by the hour. Decades of recognition, changes we've known, challenges and innovation in every song. Honor we stand as beacons guiding light, facing the unknown, fighting the good fight. Fighting the good with tales captivating, they'll inspire us all. Lighting a fire, breaking down every wall. Lessons learned, life's dance intertwined. In this vibrant journey, success they've defined. Decades of recognition, changes we've known, challenges and innovation in every song. Honor we stand as beacons guiding light, facing the unknown, fighting the good fight. Fighting the good In a world of boundless dreams told, where innovation starts to unfold, waves of change are rising so high, giving us the future as a guide. Dive into the current, take the lead, break the barriers, plant the seed. In STEM's vast ocean, we find our way, a symphony of minds, plan to stay. Tides are turning, feel the motion, the waves are rising like the ocean. With open minds and open hearts too, we'll shape a world that's diverse diversity, a path we pave. Innovation blooms and gardens gave. Equality's flag we do boldly raise. Fulfilling dreams in our own special ways. We are leaders in all businesses too. We add true value, equality with you. In leadership we will take our stand for progress and unity across the land. A tapestry woven, colors diverse, promoting inclusion as spirits immerse. In education's halls, knowledge expands and promotions rise with diverse hands. Businesses bloom as our visions take hold. Community thrives while stories unfold. Transformative power, diversity is grace, uniting us all in a hopeful embrace. In leadership we will take our stand for progress and unity across the land. A tapestry woven, colors diverse, promoting inclusion as spirits immerse. Numerous firsts, a trailblazer's trail in an illustrious career where dreams set sail. Innovation's partner, equality's guide. With gratitude and respect, let your spirit ride. In leadership we will take our stand for progress and unity across the land. A tapestry woven, colors diverse, promoting inclusion as spirits immerse. Tapestry woven, colors diverse, promoting inclusion as spirits immerse. Our spirits immerse, promoting inclusion as spirits immerse. Two sides of a coin, they beautifully blend. Professional achievements, not following trends. Narratives of success, they beautifully bind. To discover a new way in their hearts and minds. Hearts and minds. Distinct yet connected, as sisters they stand. Professional achievements, a lifetime's plan. Projects, initiatives, silence of faith, of triumphs and milestones. This is their fate. Enduring excellence, a journey wide, a professional's path with each stride. Many contributions shaping the field, the impact of accomplishments we feel. Distinct yet connected, as sisters they stand. Professional achievements, a lifetime's plan. Projects, initiatives, silence of faith, rising to the occasion, each milestone won. A recognition of hard work is at the base for the larger picture in this special place. This special place. Distinct yet connected, as sisters they stand. Professional achievements, a lifetime's plan. Projects, initiatives, talents of faith, of triumphs and milestones. This is their fate. Without these achievements, where would be? They provide a better future and set minds free. She's got a mind that's sharp as a knife, breaking barriers every day of her life. In a field where she's often the only one, her determination can be undone. Women of color in STEM, breaking down doors, breaking stereotypes, and so much more. Their contributions to science and tech will inspire generations to come, you bet. From coding to chemistry, they paved the way. A brighter future every single day. They're brilliant, they're strong, and endlessly bold. An inspiration for the young and the old. Women of color in STEM, breaking down doors, breaking stereotypes, and so much more. Their contributions to science and tech will inspire generations to come, you bet. Innovators and trailblazers aren't afraid to speak. Their stories of success are the ones we need to seek. Their brilliance and talent can't be denied. Women of color see. Not just teachers, but mentors of soul, nurturing minds to reach all their goals. A path illuminated, the past shows the next generation to bravely grow. Student leaders, a resounding praise for lighting the path in diverse ways. Leaders of now and leaders to be. Our country thanks you, it's plain to see. Because they are leaders of change, rising above to that higher plane. Student leaders, they are smart and kind. They teach their peers how to use their minds. Student leaders, a resounding praise for lighting the path in diverse ways. Leaders of now and leaders to be. Our country thanks you, it's plain to see. Forward-thinking leaders, a path they do blaze. With wisdom and grace, they pave the way. The leaders inspire talents that bind. Relevance maintained, pioneers are gained. Forward thinkers shaping our time, innovation symphony in its prime. We honor those who dare to dream big, challenge norms with a mighty dig. Innovation's flame shining bright, guiding generations day and night. In their stories, the power is seen. Dreamers stand tall, defying limits between. The leadership shines, a legacy song. Lessons of courage, forward thinkers belong. Forward thinkers shaping our time, innovation symphony in its prime. We honor those who dare to dream big, challenge norms with a mighty dig. Innovation's flame shining bright, guiding generations day and night. Bridges they build, their visions are filled. Their leaders they inspire, their impact soars high. Forward thinkers shaping our time, innovation symphony in its prime. We honor those who dare to dream big, challenge norms with a mighty dig. Innovation's flame shining bright, guiding generations day and night. Forward thinkers, leaders of grace, living a mark in this boundless space. The president's lifetime achievement is grand, marked by the contributions they planned. Dedication to pushing the edge, positive changes they will always pledge. A life's work, it's profound and it's grand, a lasting impact with diversity's hand. They have a kind of luminary soul, a lifetime achievement, not really the Groundbreaking research, wisdom's flow. In every step, a legacy to show. Through storms and winds, their spirit soars, improving lives, unlocking doors. Improving lives, unlocking doors. They have a kind of luminary soul, a lifetime achievement, not really their goal. It's guiding our journey through countless days for a better tomorrow in every way. A commitment unwavering through sun and rain, inspiring others, breaking every chain. A legacy woven in wisdom's thread, guiding the future as they tread. They have a kind of luminary soul, a lifetime achievement, not really their goal. It's guiding our journey through countless days for a better tomorrow in every way, in every way. Embarking on a journey, a story we weave. Women in STEM, everything we achieve. A minority, yet our worth is vast. Contributions tremendous, forever to last. Our days before us, each a vital part. Pieces of a puzzle, a work of art. Perseverance, innovation is their tale, a picture of triumph beyond the veil. Diversity, strength, stories of grace, passing the torch. We light our space, transformative impact. Women stand strong, creating a world where we all belong. A torch that's passed and a flame that's strong, from those who've paved the way, now are gone. To those who follow the colors that blend, excellence, hard work, a legacy to send. Determination's fire burning within, knowledge shared, a gift to begin. Diversity, strength, stories of grace, passing the torch. We light our space, transformative impact. Women stand strong, creating a world where we all belong. We're dreaming bigger and learning more. Boundaries breaking like waves on the shore. Guided by those who have shown us the way. A legacy of wisdom and courage display. Diversity, strength, stories of grace, passing the torch. We light our space, transformative impact. strong, creating a world where we all belong. That touches the sky. Education is a compass that's strong, guiding the way for minds for so long. In the heart of education's domain, together we foster, grow, and gain. From classrooms to corridors, it's clear. Corporate hands extend year after year, empowering minds to reach new heights. All of us learning where wisdom ignites. Talent and skill echo corporate's call, pointing to education for one and all. Education is a compass that's strong, guiding the way for minds for so long. In the heart of education's domain, together we foster, grow, and gain. Boardrooms and classrooms are entwined, a promise to nurture, legacy defined, supporting young minds to spread their wings, because in learning we can do many things, yeah. Education is a compass that's strong. Yes it is, yes it is. Guiding the way for minds for so long. In the heart of education's domain. Heart of education's domain. Together we foster, grow, and gain. In these times, it's clear to see our strength lies in community. Together we stand, hand in hand, building a better, brighter land. Let's celebrate what people see. Community's heart, a legacy, honoring those who lead the shaping a future bold and bright. From every corner, from every heart, community service is where it starts. Let's celebrate the people see. Going up the people see's heart, a legacy. Honoring those who lead the way for the strong. An insightful day. In the brilliance we find our way, embracing the future, come what may. Intelligence and eloquence say why for the innovations and what they try. Outstanding tech contributions today for strength and creativity. Find a way. In the face of challenges, they soared. Their impact and legacy adored. Profound impact, all that they share. The boundless reach, a world they repair. With tech inventions, they rise above, pushing the boundaries with a future love. Exceptional products, systems that work, intellectual marvels that are artwork. In the face of challenges, they soared. Their impact and legacy adored. Profound impact, all that they share. The boundless reach, a world they repair. With every breakthrough, they show the way. In virtual reality or light of day, testament to innovation for all to be. Human potential on blank canvases to see. In the face of challenges, they soared. Their impact and legacy adored. Profound impact, all that they share. The boundless reach, a world they repair.
Ladies and gentlemen, gather round tonight. A celebration of stars shining so bright. Try changing space. Oceans of opportunity so fast, transforming the unknown future's cast. A testament to diversity's power, their achievements shining by the hour. Decades of recognition change us with no challenges and innovation in every song. Honor we stand as beacons guiding light, facing the unknown, fighting the good fight. Fighting the good with tales captivating, they'll inspire us all. Lighting a fire, breaking down every wall. Lessons learned, life's dance intertwined. In this vibrant journey, success they've defined. Decades of recognition change us with no challenges and innovation in every song. Honor we stand as beacons guiding light, facing the unknown, fighting the good fight. Fighting the good In a world of boundless dreams told, where innovation starts to unfold, waves of change are rising so high, giving us the future as a guide. Dive into the current, take the lead, break the barriers, plant the seed. In STEM's vast ocean, we find our way.
Innovation blooms in gardens gave. Equality's flag we do boldly raise, fulfilling dreams in our own special ways. We are leaders in all businesses too. We add true value, equality with you. In leadership, where we'll take our stand for progress and unity across the land. A tapestry woven, colors diverse, promoting inclusion as spirits immerse. In education's halls, knowledge expands and promotions rise with diverse hands. Businesses bloom as our visions take hold. Community thrives while stories unfold. Transformative power, diversity is grace, uniting us all in a hopeful embrace. In leadership, where we'll take our stand for progress and unity across the land. A tapestry woven, colors diverse, promoting inclusion as spirits immerse. Numerous firsts, a trailblazer's trail in an illustrious career where dreams set sail. Innovation's partner, equality's guide. With gratitude and respect, let your spirit ride. In leadership, we will take our stand for progress and unity across the land. A tapestry woven, colors diverse, promoting inclusion as spirits immerse. Tapestry woven, colors diverse, promoting inclusion as spirits immerse. Our spirits immerse, promoting inclusion as spirits immerse.
Two sides of a coin, they beautifully blend. Professional achievements, not following trends. Narratives of success, they beautifully bind. To discover a new way in their hearts and minds. Hearts and minds. Distinct yet connected, as sisters they stand. Professional achievements, a lifetime's plan. Projects, initiatives, talents of faith, of triumphs and milestones. This is their fate. Enduring excellence, a journey wide, a professional's path with each stride. Many contributions shaping the field, the impact of accomplishments we feel. Distinct yet connected, as sisters they stand. Professional achievements, a lifetime's plan. Projects, initiatives, talents of faith, of triumphs and milestones. to the occasion, each milestone won. A recognition of hard work is at the base for the larger picture in this special place. This special place. Distinct yet connected, as sisters they stand. Professional achievements, a lifetime's plan. Projects, initiatives, silence of faith, of triumphs and milestones. This is their fate. This is their fate. Without these achievements, where would be? They provide a better future and set minds free. She's got a mind that's sharp as a knife, breaking barriers. Heroes in classrooms guiding through endless possibilities for me and you. Student leaders who inspire and give back will continue to be on the right track. Student leaders, a resounding praise for lighting the path in diverse ways. Leaders of now and leaders to be. Our country thanks you, it's plain to see. Not just teachers, but mentors of soul, nurturing minds to reach all their goals. A path illuminated, the past shows the next generation to bravely grow. Student leaders, a resounding praise for lighting the path in diverse ways. Leaders of now and leaders to be. Our country thanks you, it's plain to see. Because they are leaders of change, rising above to that higher plane. Student leaders, they are smart and kind. They teach their peers how to use their minds. Student leaders, a resounding praise for lighting the path in diverse ways. Leaders of now and leaders to be. Our country thanks you, it's plain to see. Forward-thinking leaders, a path they do blaze. With wisdom and grace, they pave the way. The leaders inspire, talents that bind. Relevance maintained, pioneers are gained. Forward thinkers, shaking our time. Innovation symphony in its prime. We
Good afternoon. Those who are at the back, since we're smaller in number, if we could just come up a little bit closer to the front, that would be lovely. The front don't bite, I promise. It's safe up front. We're in for a great discussion today. Alrighty. Thank you, guys.
The shuttle bus isn't running.
Is it
It
running?
hasn't been running from 10 to 4. Yeah.
All right. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We have a few technicians in the back, but there's one gentleman in the conference right here. But, gentlemen, my name is Shadane Ferraro, a former mentor at the World Bank, current professional student at MIT. That's my QR code if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn. My top 5 strengths: I'm a public speaker, motivational person, pretty much diplomatic based on my professional background working in international organizations. A little something out of the norm, pretty much outside the norm. I super duper believe in aliens. I love extraterrestrial phenomena. I like anything alien, conspiracy relating to alien, that's me. You'll catch me at the front. I love country music, like love country music. That's my favorite genre, and I can dance a little bit to dancehall. I jiggle, so don't judge me. I could just jiggle the little fat that I have on my body. Today's panelists, I have Christine Dunn, goes by Chris. And just to give you a little bit about her, she leads a DTE Energy Enterprise organizational change and leadership and professional development items. 2 dynamic groups of professionals accountable for leading and guiding DTE Energy on the strategy and deployment of change management and developing great leaders and teams. So you could scan her QR code to connect with her on LinkedIn. You can also go to your conference app to read her full bio from there. Second on the list is Sandra, which I work with her on. This is my second panel with Sandra. She is the resource manager for NASA Advanced Enterprise Global Information Technology Solutions. She is basically a spoiled brat. Well, she said it, I didn't. She is her mama's twin. She looks just like her mom, and her top 5 strengths are on the board. As I said again, go to your conference app. You could always read her full bio from there. So welcome to today's session. Power up your performance, essential skills for non-managers. So we're gonna have a discussion-like presentation, and it's gonna be pretty much not like a lecture, but more of a discussion, very engaging. So again, if you guys want to come closer towards the mic, because we're going to want to have it like when we have questions, I don't want you to walk from like way in the back. Come up a little closer. It don't hurt, promise you. It doesn't bite to come to the front. So these are objectives for today, and I'm going to start off with Sandra. What is high performance and why is it important? I'm just gonna put those 2 questions out to the panelists, and I'm gonna start off with Sandra since she's closest to my left. What is high performance?
So when you talk about being a high performer, of course, it's a person that overachieves in what they're doing. And I think that should be everybody's goal in the workplace, to always overachieve, not just be the norm. The importance of that, because it doesn't matter if you're a non-manager or seeking to be a manager or leader, you first have to be able to be a good performer. because a good manager was at one point an overachiever, and I'm sure that's how most of them get promoted to where they are. And they should be able to understand the steps and what's needed to be in a higher role. But because today we are talking about non-managers in particular, just high performance, it's just needed now because we all need to embrace where we are and what we want to do anytime we have been given a job to do. Not just to be there to get a paycheck. We should be there because it's self-gratification as well. I mean, if I love what I do, I'm going to achieve it and give it my best. So from my perspective, I think that's what a high performance is and the importance of it as well.
All right. What is your take on it? What is your take on it, Chris?
Yeah, my take on it is, I totally agree with what Sandra said. And my take on it is high performance is around bringing added value that's unexpected to your team, to your company, to your community in a positive way. So when you're performing in a high way, you're bringing added value. You're doing more than what is expected. And I think the why behind, having high performance and why it's important is just around creating your own personal fulfillment, creating opportunities for yourself, and stability. When we're in a high-performing kind of mode, there's the ability to be noticed and to be able to be kind of given additional opportunities. When people are out doing more and saying, I want to help, I want to be part of it, it just really creates, it's like a multiplier is the way I think about it. So that's what I think about in terms of, what is high performance and why it's important. Yeah.
And what advice would you give to the young professionals here to, what advice you could give to them so they could upscale their performance, go above and beyond just to excel in whatever they're doing? I'm going to start off with Sandra.
I think it's always important to do a self-evaluation, to know what I'm good at and where I need some improvements. I think anybody in a profession needs to know that we don't have it all together. I mean, of course, all of us can use some improvement. So my first thing that I always tell people is that self-evaluate and know where I am and where I want to go and things I need to work on. And then you got to have a goal and a plan. Have a plan of how you get there. And understand it doesn't happen overnight. Some things or where I'm going may take time, but I have those timetables there to understand that if I want to go to XYZ, that's an area that I need to prove in, I need to have a timeline to when I want to get there and how I want to get there. All right? So I think that's a good ways to increase your performance. The next thing is always find someone who can help you. Mentorship is important. Always find someone that's not where you are, but where you want to go, and get a mentor. Always have a mentor, someone you can deflect things off of, you can bounce things off of, you can get feedback on, hear their stories and their struggles, but always have a good mentor in your pocket. If you don't have one, I really highly advise you to get a good mentor. Always have a good mentor.
Sandra, I know we're going to talk about kind of our top 3 ways, but just to build off of what you said, the other thing too, I think, to answer your question, Shadane, is just know what's expected of you, right? So if you have kind of that baseline around what is your leader need from you, that's a way to kind of figure out where the bar is and then build your own set of high standards on top of it. Think about how you can grow and learn and develop, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in my top 3. And then, what is your differentiator? What are you bringing to the table that nobody else is bringing to the table? So those would be some the other things I'd add into that before we jump into kind of our personal favorites, our personal top 3 for powering up performance.
All right, Sandra, so we're going to jump right into your top 3 ways of ways to power up your performance for non-managers.
So the first one is communications. I mean, I was talking to a group of people the other night, and I said that word is what we use, and sometimes right now we don't take it seriously because we hear so much. Communicate, communicate, communicate. That's all everybody's saying, but in essence, it is imperative that we communicate. We have to be good communicators in order to be good performers. We have to know what we're talking about and be concise. So, point 2 was like prepare and be advanced. If you're going to be a good top performer, preparation is always is the best practice, because in order to deliver anything, you need to make sure you're prepared. I do this in a class that I teach on Wednesday nights. I tell people all the time, preparation is your best Because if you're not prepared and you get ready to go into a meeting or get ready to talk to someone, if you're not prepared, it will show that we're not prepared. So we have to have a good way to communicate. And there's various ways that we know we communicate. I mean, look at me now. I'm so adamant and so glad to be here with you. I'm talking with my hands. That means that I'm showing you all that I care. I'm very serious about what I'm talking about. I'm excited. So even my body language right now is a way that I'm communicating. So if you're looking at me and you're saying, well, she don't want to be here. She does want to be here because she's waving her hands and she's expressing her care for to be here with us. So our body language says a lot. So if I want to be a top performer, I don't want to go in there looking like this or like this. That's not going to let the person know that I am wanting to be a top performer. All right. Body language is a way that we communicate as well, and we have to be mindful of our body language because sometimes unconsciously we don't know that we really sending off a bad vibe in the room that we don't really want to be there, all right? And then it just says to be an active listener. As a person who talks a lot, I don't know if you picked up on that yet, but yes, I do. I have to practice intentionally of being a good listener. There's not always, the talker doesn't always have to be the one to talk all the time. Sometimes it's good to just sit back, listen, take notes, observe, and if it's an opportune time, then speak. Sometimes I'll go in a room, I'll observe, I won't say a thing, and I'll nod my head, but they understand because of my body language. I understood what you were saying, I took it all in, but at the time, I'm just digesting it. Don't need to say anything at the moment. Wait till another opportune time to say something. So that's a part of our communications too, is to listen, to make sure we heard what we heard, to make sure we understood, so that if a task comes to us as a performer, we understand the task because we listened, all right? The last one is to build your emotions, intelligence skills. We need to make sure that, I talked about this yesterday in another class about personality types. Some people are quiet by nature, some people are loud by nature, some people are passive, some people are aggressive, assertive, and so you have to learn to know what is your take and be able to control your emotions on whatever it is that you're dealing with. So as a performer, to be a top performer, we have to be able to keep our emotions intact. If it's a bad day because a dog tore up your shoe and somebody tried to hit you off the road, you got to go in a meeting and you're mad at the world, got to control our emotions. All right? We have to be able to put the emotions intact for the present time that we're in. So I think that's a number one way, is to make sure that we build on our good communication skills to become a top performer.
I just want to piggyback on emotional intelligence a little bit because I think it's one of the most underrated topics out here in our professional career. And one of the key things my mentor told me is that I shouldn't identify with the emotions that I'm feeling because what I'm feeling is not with me. So the moment I stop detaching from my emotions, that's a better way of getting over the ego self, and I get on with everybody in a more diplomatic way. So I don't attach to my emotions, whatever I'm feeling. So I really love your point. So I will stress, get some emotional intelligence classes. They're free online, YouTube. I'm gonna go to the next point. Could you go back a little bit for me? One step back. Thank you.
All right, so this one talks about building your authority, influence without authority. So if I'm a good performer, it doesn't mean I'm in charge. But the number one thing is that we got to be able to collaborate. If I'm going to be a top performer, I have to be a team player. Collaboration is so important. We cannot be in this alone. I mean, yesterday, I think one of our classes, somebody said, you're not an island, you're not on an island by yourself. There's others also alone. There's no competition for a top performer. You don't have to be in competition with anybody, because if you're going to be in competition, you're not going to succeed about being a good performer. No way, because you're always going to have someone to work with you, either as a top performer or as a leader. We do not do things by ourselves. I mean, each of us contribute individually, but at the end of the day, we have to be able to collaborate together as a team player. The next thing it says that build relationships. I am a big believer in building relationships in the workplace. As a top performer, you have to be able to build relationships. As I said before, because you never know who may have something that you need. So you're not going to get it if you do not build a good relationship. I think,
Sandra, there was something I was talking to a colleague about yesterday, and they said something that really resonated with me that keys right into what you're saying. And it was, when you're talking to somebody, when you need to ask somebody for something, it shouldn't be the first time you're talking with them. So,
Exactly.
like, how do we build those relationships that aren't kind of, that have a foundation? Because you're right, the way work gets done is through relationships. And if you're talking to somebody for the first time and you're asking them for a favor, or, you know, something that what can you do to build those relationships and widen your circle as much as you can? So when you're at the point of needing to collaborate, you've built that relationship, and it's not just, okay, look out, here comes Chris, she needs something again. That made me think about that.
Yeah,
I have a follow-up question on relationship, because I'm pretty much introverted at work. I don't speak much. I'm not the person to ask you how your cat is doing, how your dog is doing. I'm not that person. To be honest, when I go to work, it's just work home. So for introverts like myself, what are some ways how you suggest to just have those small talks and just, just to build the relationship? Because I feel uncomfortable just having small talks. I'm a big person. I'm a big talker. If it isn't something big, I don't want to talk about it,
I think it's just, well, because you are an introvert, it's just, and that's on there, is that understand what motivates others. I think in the workplace sometimes we do get up to the point where we're so funnel vision that we think that's all we come to do is just to do that and go home. That don't ask me about my personal life because that's none of your business. And that right there doesn't help build good relationships as well. So I think it's just small things, just to say, I noticed your pants are really cute. I really like those. That's one of my favorite colors. You just learned something from me, but just from that, because I said, I like them. That's a good color on you. That's one of my favorite colors. So now when you see Sandy, you're like, oh, you like this color as well. It doesn't take much to start small talk and not get so personal. I think a lot of times we push away, and this is probably going off the script just a little bit, is because a lot of times why people won't share personal information about them because of fear of it getting repeated. And now becomes the office talk. Did you know Sandra? Blah, blah, blah. So we refrain from sharing things about us because of what we've experienced in the past, because of what people can do. Sometimes people can do. But it doesn't take much to get a little bit about personal things from someone, to learn about them. And it makes the working relationship a little stronger, and it allows you to collaborate in a good environment. And now you know something personal about me so that you can ask, well, Sandra, how's your dog today? I heard yesterday you was talking about your dog was sick. Is he okay today? And that just let me know now that you care. Not only are you caring about what we're doing here together on this project, but you care because you asked me something personal about me. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I think trust builds relationships, and relationships builds influence, right? So if I trust you and you say, Chris, let's get on board with this, let's go try this new thing together, let's sign up for the pilot, let's do this, whatever this thing is, right? That's how you're actually building your ability to influence others without having authority over them. So there is that sort of foundational piece about having trust. And what I would say, Shadane, is, if you have a best friend at work, somebody you like, somebody you're comfortable with, bring them with you to have those conversations. So it's not just one-on-one. It might not feel as intimidating. So if Sandra's your best friend, three of us, we schedule coffee together, we schedule lunch together, and now you have like a partner in crime, someone you already trust and know to help build that circle, right? Widen that circle. So just take your best friend with you and do it together.
Well, you think about it, we're at work more times out the day than we're even at home.
True.
So in my job, we call each other family all the time because I see most of them tonight more than I see my own family. So that's another thing as well that helps with the communication influence, is because we spend a lot of time with each other in the workplace as well. So I think that probably answers the mail there.
All right. When you go over
Yep.
your
Let me do one more thing right there, because the one that I really want to talk about is be confident and consistent in your actions. I think in these days and times, and I'm keep referencing yesterday's class because it was phenomenal, but confidence is something that a lot of people are lacking. They feel like they can't do something, so they'll never try. I made sure yesterday in one of my sessions that I told this young lady that everyone has a purpose, everyone has talents, and everyone has skills. I don't care who you are. And we never should demise that and never should diminish that from anybody. Everybody has something that they can do and can contribute. It may not be the same as your best friend or me, but you have something. So whatever your job is, your task is, be confident that you can do it, and then be consistent with it. that's something I really wanted to touch on, especially the young generation. I want a young generation to understand, to be confident in what you can do. Now, I will tell you there's a difference between being confident and cocky and arrogant. Yes, because arrogancy says I know more than you. You know nothing, I know it all. Confidence says that I know in what I can do, and I'm confident that I can. You see the difference? I'm not going to come to you, and arrogancy says, you can't tell me anything, I know how to do it, I got this. And you belittle what I have to say. That means you're being arrogant. And that will not take us a long way. So I had a young man that I told them the other day that I worked with. He was phenomenal in what he did. He knew his work. He was great at it. But he would overshadow everybody in the room. Like, no, not something way. And I pulled him in office one day. I said, you are so smart. You're so good. But you're arrogant. You're cocky and you're arrogant. And you're not going to go far in your career. And he looked at me. He said, you're serious? I said, I'm serious as I can be. He said, what should I do? I said, you got to chill down. Know what you know, be confident, but know others know things as well, and be respectful of them. And so he told me, he thanked me to this day for telling him that, because it has allowed him to advance his career. Had he kept going down the same path, he probably wouldn't be where he is now.
Give more detail on how to dumb it down, because people say dumb it down, and I'm leaving like not dumb it down the same as you're dumbing down. So techniques, books to read.
I think one of the things that this particular situation was that he never allowed others to get their thought out. He immediately interrupted them, or he always had something to say, but he never took in and considered what they're saying was just as good as what he knew. He didn't even allow an opportunity to say, you know what, that might be a good idea, I'll look at that. He never did that. He always overshadowed them by interruption, number one, and then he would say a but at the end of it. But his idea was the only way to do, what it was to do it. So you have to kind of swallow back on that and think about, did I do that today? Yeah, I did do that. I think, when you walk into a room, when you're arrogant, you're walking in like with that facade that, yeah, listen, I'm here. We can start the meeting, we can do this because I'm in the room now.
Just a quick reminder, if we have any questions, online cannot hear us. So if you want to just talk in the mic a little bit, but we'll get to the Q&A question at the end.
I think it goes back to what Sandra talked about as far as communication goes too. So and we'll talk about another thing later that I think taps into what you're asking. And it's really, am I listening and formulating my response? Am I just listening so I can respond, or am I listening to understand, right? So if you're in a meeting or dialogue with somebody and you have a mindset that is a know-it-all kind of mindset versus a learn-it-all mindset, you're probably listening and formulating your response. You're not listening to understand. So it becomes the skill that you got to think about developing for yourself is humility and a desire to learn and grow and get better, right? Those are some of the things I think you have to think about. When we're younger in career, I think we're trying to put ourselves in a position where we are a bright spot and people are noticing us and they're giving us opportunities. You have to think about all the attributes. It's not just your technical functional knowledge and being an expert at what you do. It is how you work with other people. It is how you collaborate. It is how you communicate. It is you making space for everybody's voice to be heard. And so that's, I think, an important aspect to think about. And it's harder, I think, when you're younger in career or trying to kind of, move yourself forward and advance yourself forward, because you want the airtime. You want your voice to be heard a lot of the times. But people notice more than just that. And they're looking for somebody who can kind of have all those parts and pieces to help them move into a leadership role, to help their entire team.
Good one, like that.
All right, thank you. I always hit you guys with my Jamaican proverbs, and I cannot help it because I'm from a old school tradition. Even though I'm young, I was raised with my grandparents, my mom as well, in that family structure. And my mom always said to me, humble calf suck the most milk. And it's simple it's about humility, how you develop just being humble. Easy always does it. Sometimes when you're too, you're arrogant, you miss the smaller things in life, you lose out on opportunities. So that's another proverb. Humble calf, suck the most milk. Always humble. All right, we're on to the next. Feedback.
So this one, I was going to say this earlier because of one of the other points on the slide before that, it says to practice how to give recognition. And so that comes into play as far as being a high performer is to learn to give feedback. So learn to appreciate others. As a high performer, it shows that you know that someone else on the team can do the same as you or even more. So appreciate people. That's a wonderful feedback. And then learn how to coach. You may be in a position where, as a high performer, you're doing something higher in the group than anyone else is. So coach someone else along the way. Don't just hold it all into yourself. In the past, in a 40-year career that I've been in old times, plus before most of you was probably been born, it was always that, that ladder is that I'm climbing to the top and I'm knocking you down on my way. The more I do, the less I teach you, the higher I can get. That is an old facade that's a myth that's just not, it should never been, and it's definitely not good for the workplace now. We got to learn to coach along the way. We're not going to be where we are all the time. If we're a high performer, as I can look in the room and tell most of you, all of you are, you're going to want to go higher, so coach along the way. We have people on my job where like I said, I've been there 40 years. So, it's like now, what are you going to do, Sandy? Are you going to stay there until you die? So I need to be mentoring and coaching as a high performer, knowing that one day I'm either going to retire, I'm going to hit the lottery, and I'm gone. So who's going to be left? If I care about the company, who's going to be left to carry on if I don't coach, if I don't mentor? So high performance always coach. Don't hold all the knowledge in yourself, because it's an old saying that I hold in more so you will not take my job. That's the mentality we came up a long time ago that I don't think is even relevant nowadays, and I hope we're learning to get away from it.
It can even hold you back.
Oh,
Sandra,
absolutely.
Because if you don't have somebody ready to take your spot, how are you going to move forward and move up? So it's definitely a myth.
Exactly. And then the last one says just to evaluate. Evaluation is the key. How well have you done? How well is the team doing? How well is others? I think you'll probably agree with me that most of us are our own worst critic. I go home and evaluate myself, and I probably, give myself really bad marks because I'm just expectations for myself a little bit too much. So I probably evaluate myself a little more critical. But evaluation is good. It lets us know what went well and what can be improved on. So we got to learn to give that type of feedback to others as a high performer in groups and ourselves. All right?
All right, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Your feedback.
So this is how you give feedback. It just says make sure it's timely. I think stale, we wait too long, it becomes stale and it's no longer relevant. If I'm going to give feedback to someone, if I wait too long, they're going to be like, what were you talking about? That happened a month ago. I don't even remember. So timeliness of feedback is very important. Be constructive. I think, and I just said that because I think one of the hardest things to do, but it's top performers, we have to learn to give good constructive feedback. But we have to do it in a way that it doesn't belittle or demise what a person has done. Because, people do have feelings. So we always say this as well, attack the process, not the person. So if I got to give feedback, I'm not attacking you. I'm just attacking the process at hand or the task that we're at hand. Don't make it personal if we give feedback from that perspective. Constructive, all right? Then it says encourage along the way. We got to encourage. If I'm going to give you some constructive that may not be as good, I also need to make sure I don't leave you there to end with some good. I mean, I didn't do all bad. Give me some good stuff I did along with the bad as well. That way you can you kind of ice the cake a little bit at the end, all right? Make sure we learn to encourage. As high performers, you need to learn to encourage as well. But then at the same time, I just said, you got to learn how to receive it. I think the biggest mistake in a high-performing job or performer to do is can dish it but can't receive it. You got to learn to be able to be receptive as well, all right? Goes back to the arrogancy thing. Like I said, everyone in this room, all of us have all areas of improvement in our life. If someone tells you they have no room for improvement, something is wrong. They're not being real. All right? Don't want to deceive ourselves. And I won't tell you what that says because if we deceive ourselves, we're fooling ourselves. All right? Always understand all of us have areas to improve on, so we got to learn to receive feedback the same way that we give it as well.
That's true. And as Neville Goddard said, man's true purpose in life is to grow. So we're always growing, we're always learning. So it's always good to be open-minded. So I'm just gonna jump straight over to Christine's top 3 ways to power up your performance, and the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Shadane. I do want to mention on Sandra's slides, one of my favorite books about feedback is called Thanks for the Feedback. And it's how to receive feedback even when it's delivered horribly wrong, bad timing, not constructive. So I totally encourage everybody to go grab that one and read it. It really is useful to think about how you handle feedback that you're getting, even if it's not delivered well, because there's opportunity there. So I just want to mention that real quick. Another way that you can power up your performance is to leverage this idea of big picture and strategic thinking. So big picture thinking is really just seeing beyond your job role, your team, your function, even your organization. It's seeing the connections between all the parts and pieces and using that to create better outcomes. And when we can, if you think about how you can leverage like big picture thinking or strategic thinking, it's this idea of like looking and finding both opportunities and pinch points. So one very like practical way to think about doing this is to grab a sheet of paper and put yourself in the center. Just draw a little circle with your name on it, right? And then start capturing all your different connection points related to the project you're on, the task you're trying to accomplish, the work you're trying to do, the outcome you're trying to create. And when you can visualize all those connections and all those parts and pieces, there is a real opportunity to kind of zoom in and say, wow, how come this person isn't connected to this person? And why aren't we collaborating on this together? Or, man, this is a real rub. This is a real pinch point for us because they're trying to do this, and it's in conflict with what I'm trying to get done right now. So when you look more broadly and further ahead, what it does is it allows you to adapt and move faster to capture those opportunities, solve for those pinch points. That gets noticed as higher performance. So that's what I think about when I think about big picture, more strategic thinking. Is there anything you would add to that,
Well,
Sandra?
that's great.
Yeah.
I like that.
Awesome.
So what about your mind? How do you develop your mind to get to that point?
Well, I kind of mentioned it earlier, you know, having a growth mindset can help you power up your performance. And the idea and what it means to have a growth mindset is it means the people who believe in their talents, they believe that they can be developed further through hard work, through good strategies, through input from others, AKA feedback.
Exactly.
And they tend to achieve more than those people who have sort of this, what we call fixed mindset. People who believe that their talents are innate gifts and they're as good as they can get and they're an expert in every way. And the reason why is when you have a growth mindset, you worry less about looking smart and you put more energy into learning. So it's, you know, when you have that fixed mindset and you deem yourself as an expert already and you focus on demonstrating those skills and kind of showing out, yeah, that will take you to a certain point. But if you really want to go further, is to have this sort of have this sort of learn-it-all type mindset or growth mindset. So you want to move from a know-it-all to a learn-it-all, and that can create a lot more opportunities for you. Generally, when you have a growth mindset, you're willing to try new things, take on developmental assignments, be part of short-term project teams. All of that can lead to more experience and more exposure. And both experience and exposure are really critical to progressing in your career.
Yeah, let me say this too, and be a self-starter. I mean, always search for things to help enhance your career professionally or unprofessionally. Don't wait for the manager or someone else to tell you, go take this class, or have you considered this? Go searching for things to do for yourself. My daughter-in-law is excellent with that. She likes cybersecurity, and she's out there taking all kind of classes, and when the children go to bed, she's educating herself. She's not waiting on the company to, do that. She's a self-starter. She's awesome at that. And now they're going like, you've taken that class already? She's, oh yeah, I did that a couple of nights ago. So be a self-starter. That also helps, pour into your performance. Pour into yourself. Invest in yourself. All right?
Yeah, I want to share a little personal story of what happened to me over the past 11 months. Since I completed my internship at the IMF, which is International Monetary Fund, I have been trying to get a job, and I've done 33 interviews. No joke, 33. I counted it. And I asked myself, what is it that I'm really missing? Like, there must be something that I'm missing. I even contacted like coaches there, like senior managers, because I have the connection. And I've been to coaching session, and I did exactly what they said I should do, and I still didn't get the job. And I said to myself, you know what? That's not gonna stop me. I put a pause on applying since July this year, and I said, okay, guess what? You're gonna need me one day. I'm studying Chinese and Russian. I'm studying Python right now. I'm doing data science right now. You're gonna need me one day. So it's all about like powering up yourself. Let them need you, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I love that.
jumping on.
Yes. The last way that I wanted to mention that you can power up your performance is successfully navigating change. So we are all experiencing change at a very rapid pace today, and bottom line, change is hard, especially if you have a fixed mindset. Which is what I just mentioned. It can take a long time to kind of move through this transition curve or this change curve. It's not a straight and linear path, and it just can be really challenging, right? It can really challenge you. We all have a tendency to hold on to what we know, right? So one of my favorite quotes is we tend to give more value to the things we currently have,
Yes.
and we don't see the value of what could be by letting go.
Yeah.
And so we resist adopting something new, but if you have that growth mindset and you're willing to be an early adopter, positively experimenting, influencing others, all the things we've talked about so far this afternoon, to see the future, it can help you personally move through that change faster and also demonstrate your ability to lead at any level in the organization, I think. So change is just a regular part of what we have to navigate in the workplace. And I think if you can begin to wrap your head around, like, how am I going to approach change when it comes my way? And we've all fallen victim to it, even
Yes.
myself, right?
Yes.
They were changing the cafeteria menu. You would have thought we were being displaced to another country, and so there are just simple things that we have to, if we can take those in stride a little bit better, we can build some muscle memory around how to deal with change. Then when the bigger stuff, the stuff that's more important actually comes our way, we can start to think constructively about how to navigate it and support our peers, our best friends at work, right?
Exactly.
Influence them
Influence them,
to do that along the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agree with that. Good.
Right. So,
Yeah, go ahead, Shadeen.
I mean, do you want to take the floor?
No, you.
All right, so just in summary, I mean, I'm going to have the audience today. What have you learned today? And if we have questions, I'll just have you guys just come closer to the mic, because it's not really about me today, it's about you today. So in your own opinion, what have you learned today? Nobody? Everybody scared of the mic? The mic don't bite. Well, I could go over some of the things. It's about effective communication, and in communication, you learn about emotional intelligence, how you navigate your personal feelings, and how you might affect other people based on how you're communicating with your nonverbal gestures. And I have one person here to the mic. So, what have you learned today?
Hi, I'm Shamika. What I've learned is being able to communicate and talk to people is key, and then not being afraid to ask your questions. and then someone else probably has that same question. The other thing I've learned that it's navigating will probably be something I want to share with the people at work because they're very stuck in that. But this is how we always done it. We don't want to do it that way.
Yeah.
Or there's change and they don't want to change. So it's giving me ideas of saying, okay, here's the positive thing.
There you go.
You're still getting paid the same thing. You're just doing something different that you can add on your resume. So that's what I learned.
That's good.
Thank you.
You know, my favorite thing from this session, if we have questions, we can still line up at the mic while I'm just going over the summary. My favorite thing is seeing the bigger picture and just thinking big. I'm a big thinker. Sometimes I feel like I'm an alien. I don't belong to this planet because I see things way in the future. And that's one thing with being a visionary. I see my task or anything that I have to do, I see it completed before I even started it. So it's always about like seeing the bigger picture and just having that growth mindset that is, as I quoted Neville Goddard, which he died like probably 50 years ago. I don't know how long he died, but he's one of those Asian people from the late 1800s, a very good mentor of mine. I listen to his podcast, books, and everything. It says man's true purpose is to grow. So we're always constantly growing. We're always evolving. The body that I'm in right now, it wasn't the body that I was in 10 years ago. Of course, 60 pounds went on, but I'm just saying, we are constantly growing, and as we grow, our minds grow, or consciousness grows. So it's always good to be open-minded and always receive the feedback without any form of attachment to your feelings. Just detach from your feelings, because feelings are very temporary. It's like a wave of emotions that just go through you. So just let it flow through you, and you don't attach to it. That's the best lesson I could give to anybody in here. Your question.
Hello, my name is Faith Coggins, and I'm a student at Alabama A&M University. And I just wanted to state that I have learned how to build relationships being an introvert. The small talk advice was very useful for me, as well as showing appreciation to others, because I'm a new student leader on campus. And I'm in charge of just a group of students, and just showing appreciation to the students, as well as coaching the lower classmen, and even exposing them to conferences such as this, hopefully sharing my knowledge. So I really do appreciate the panel for being here today.
Well, thank you.
Hey.
And again, taking action is another way how we could power up our performance. And I gotta say this, as people of color, accountability is not one of our best strengths. And I just have to call a spade. I'm sorry. So it's always good to take accountability for your actions, the things that you do, the things that you just put out in the world. You just hold yourself accountable for it and correct yourself, because we all make mistakes in this life. We're all growing in this life. We're all learning, and it's inevitable to just make mistakes. So take accountability, identify some action you want to take while you're taking your accountability, and you choose your areas of focus. Whatever strengths you have, you focus on your strengths, you build your strengths, so you could always power up your performance and be better at what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, you always want to strive to be the best version of yourself. And now we're gonna jump straight into the Q&A session. I know we're anxiously waiting for the questions, so here we go.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Kendra Porter. I am a senior operations analyst for Bell Flight. And I have a question, but before I ask the question, I want to give a little context as to why I'm asking this question. So early on in my career, I was a part of a leadership development program, and I was so empowered to do these things that you listed here, in empowering up my career. But there was a moment where I ran into a manager, and I did not have the best experience, and it discouraged me to continue to grow and power up my career. And it took a while, and I wish that I had some insight or advice at that point in my life to keep going and to stay encouraged even when you don't have the best leadership. So my question for you all is, Has there ever been a time when powering up your performance created a barrier to leadership roles? And if so, how did you overcome those?
Yeah, I think great question, Kendra. When you are role modeling some of the behaviors that we talked about today, and others are unable or unwilling to do those things, that can be really intimidating. I've worked in my organization for the last decade, and I've seen scenarios where someone is really stepping up and doing the right thing, and they have a leader that is struggling with it because they themselves haven't been doing that, and they're seeing that person get attention. I think something that Sandra said earlier is really important. When your own leader can't support you for whatever reason that they're struggling with personally, I think about your bigger circle. Who are your mentors in the organization? And more importantly, who are your sponsors in the organization? Because those are two different things. Mentors are going to share information with you. They're going to guide you and coach you along the way. Sponsors are going to carry you up your career towards your aspiration. They're going to speak for you. They're going to be the one in the talent meeting says, Kendra has the skill and capability to do a bigger or different kind of role. So I think when you're feeling stuck in your spot or a little bit demotivated or frustrated because you have a leader who's not maybe supporting or helping you the way that they should be, expand your circle, your board of directors, the people that are with you along the way, and work through them to help figure out and coach and guide you. I think the other thing that can help too is just having like a real sort of like open and honest and transparent conversation with that person and say, hey, listen, it feels like you're blocking me, or I'm not meeting your expectations, or there's a strain in our relationship, or something isn't working quite right, is maybe a nice way to say that, right? To open some dialogue with them and talk about and come to agreement around what is your mutual purpose and how do we work together to accomplish that. So those would be some thoughts I have. What about you, Sandra?
Yeah, like I said, an advocate, having an advocate on your side. And then I think yesterday we talked about how to be assertive in the workplace, assertive and firm. And so you'll have to have that behind you and says that, I feel like this is what's happening. I know, you're blocking me, but you got to be assertive in a way that it doesn't hurt, it's professional, but we got to have a little assertiveness as well. And then sometimes just gonna have to stop and say, I can't get through this barrier. So either I'm going to have to go around it and figure out something else that I need to do. Because the last thing you're going to do is lose your love and your drive for what you're doing. Yeah. And that's what's going to happen if this person continues to cause these barriers. It'll cause you not to have your love anymore. And listen, every day we get up, we should love what we do.
Yeah, true.
Not do it, we got to love what we're doing, or if we don't, we need to find something else. So I'm going to hope that you can get around that barrier, find an advocate for you to help you, like Chris has said, or get some assertiveness and be frank and truthful with the person that's causing the barrier, because it's your perception that's what's going on. They may be oblivious to it and not realize it. They was going to hope that's what's going on, but if they're intentionally doing it, then you're going to have to say, you know what, this is not going to work for me because I got to go through and I can't get through you, so I'm going around and I'm going to go do something else.
I have more of a, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I have more of a unorthodox take on this, and it has to do with your self-evaluation. And it's more like your mental blocks. Because sometimes we might believe that somebody is in our way that's stopping us from, get to the next level, which that might not be the case. So I would just suggest, do a little bit more inner work to say, what are my mental blocks? Because let me tell you something, Kendra, the only person that could stop you in this life is you. There's no external force outside of you that can stop you. So you have to do that inner work to find out, what is it in my mind that's stopping me? Because he cannot stop you. If you gotta get to the next level, nobody can stop you other than you. So that's just my unorthodox take on it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and I thought it was important to ask that question because when I experienced that in my early 20s, I did not have a person to talk to. So when you overcome things of those nature, you want to make sure that, and this is me trying to force a conversation to get people who are early in their career to, if they have those situations, to start doing the things that you all listed
Absolutely.
in the beginning,
Yeah.
instead of struggling at the top.
Yeah,
But
there-
thank you.
Good
Yeah.
question.
Welcome.
Good one.
You're
Lo-
welcome.
Lots of pathways to get to where you want to go. You don't have to take one straight road. You can take some left turns, U-turns, side streets, alleyways, those kinds of things. So lots of ways to get to where you want to go.
All right.
How you doing? My name is Kesey Castle. I'm one of the staff members here from NJIT in New Jersey. My students struggle with this, and I kind of struggle with it, but it's like you guys have all of this experience professionally and have battled and know how to say things and know your tone and everything like that. How do you teach somebody to work on their tone? When you say something that irks me, it comes out,
Yeah.
and you hear it in my tone. So how can I work on that?
It's got to do, my dad says this, whatever it starts up here in your mind, he said, then it comes down here. And he says, you're either going to let it come out or you're going to swallow it. Because once it goes out, there's nothing you can do. You can't grab it and say, I didn't mean to. And then now you got to be accountable for what you said. So from what I'm seeing in our changing world today, I'm seeing, I'm passionate with our new generation, but I'm concerned as well. I'm concerned because I don't want to see a generation think they're entitled.
Yeah.
And they think they're entitled, and it means they can respond any kind of way. We say it all the time that it starts at home. Yeah, people learn things, and when they get older, they lose it. I don't care what nobody says, because life changes, life experiences can make you react in a kind of way. But in the workplace and in our careers or wherever we are, we're going to have to learn how to talk in the way that we want to be talked to. We have that saying, treat others the way you want to be treated, but we're going to have to really get back to it and lean on it. If I talk harsh to you because I think I can, and then someone talks to me and I go off and get my feelings hurt, then I need to be reminded what I just did. So I think we got to teach, all of us need to learn this, because it's not just young people, it's everybody. I'm seeing it so bad. And I don't know what happened, but it's like it's coming back, it's like it's exploding itself, where I am hearing the most harsh tone conversations or responses, and especially in the customer service field, people just think they can talk to you any kind of way. And it's okay, but you know why? Because no one would say anything anymore. I come from a generation that my neighbor raised me, my auntie, everybody corrected me. Then it changed to where if you corrected my child, instead of me agreeing with you, I wanted to get at you. That's what happened. So then we grew a generation that says that you can't say nothing to me because my mama said you say you can't. You know what I'm saying? So that's what happened. The respect started going down. So we got to get back to the point where we bring it back to the table, we talk about it, and we let people know that what you said was not right. We got to learn to correct or constructively to a point where it doesn't belittle or hurt, but it's the truth. And that's just my 2 cents. You can tell I'm old school. We got to get to the point, but we're
Before you
going to have to
move
talk
on,
about it.
Talk about that feel, because you touched on something that I deal with all day, every day. These kids' feelings. And you just said if you say it in a harsh way and their feelings are hurt, but you didn't think you said it in a harsh way, we can go on for days with this one. How do you deal with that? Because your feelings are yours, and I don't know what your triggers are. And I may not have been upset or said it harshly, but you took it harshly. And then you all falling apart, and oh my God, you talked to me this way. I don't know what to do with that.
I think you gotta help. This is a couple thoughts that I have for your students. One, I think you need to help them think about what are my own personal guiding principles. When you get into an organization, you're gonna find that they have a set of values that they expect from the team of people that work for that organization. So people have like a guardrail to use and kind of evaluate themselves against. So let me just give you a quick example. Our service keys at the organization I work at are number 1, care, number 2, safety, number 1, safe, number 2, care, dependable, efficient. So when I'm interacting with somebody, I can think about, am I being safe? Am I being caring? Am I being dependable? Am I being efficient, right? So I have this set of guardrails that I can use for myself to evaluate my own behavior, and I have a set of guardrails that the other person who's in the organization with me is also anchored to. And we we can have a conversation if they show up and they're talking in a way that is not okay. Listen, you're not being caring right now in this moment. You're not creating a safe environment for us to have dialogue around it. So one thing to think about with your students is, with absent that, right, is what are your own set of personal guiding principles that you feel comfortable with, that are part of your purpose, and that you want to anchor yourself to, so that way you can think about it. The other thing too is just simply an accountability partner, right? If I know and somebody has kind of brought it forward to me, hey, Chris, you really need to think about your tone and how you're approaching these conversations, because it's off-putting. You're causing people to shut down and not want to share and not want to collaborate. If you're giving someone that feedback, I think there's also the piece to help them figure out, how do I solve for it, right? So one way is either I'm going to come with you, and I'm going to, after the meeting is done or after the conversation's done, we're going to debrief it, I'm going to coach you, we're going to talk about it, I'm going to share how I thought you showed up. Or, Chris, you go get somebody who you feel comfortable with being your accountability partner. I'm going to bring my accountability partner with me to that conversation, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. We're going to talk about it afterwards. So did I interrupt people? Did I shut them down? Was my tone, aggressive, or maybe, just disrespectful in any kind of way? So those are some practical ways, I think, for people if they really want to get better. It goes back to, though, do they have that growth mindset? Are they willing to get better? Do they want to get better? And helping them see how that pushes them towards that end goal, that aspiration that they're trying to get towards. Certain behaviors will get you to certain points, and then, when you're inside an organization, you have to navigate the culture, the politics, the constraints that exist in organizations. And unless and until you're just a lone entrepreneur with nobody else around you and not engaging with customers or anybody, which I'm not sure how you do that, then you have to kind of figure out how to grow and mold yourself.
I think the trust thing, I think once they know that they can trust you, then, and get to know you, and you get to know them, then I think they'll be able to know that you care. And then that what you said wasn't to harm them, but it was because you cared. I think that right there maybe just builds on that trust with them. And then you may have to say, listen, I said what I said to you because I care. Not to hurt you, not to harm you, because I care. I tell some of my young people that I mentor sometimes too, is that if I don't correct you or tell you that you did wrong and allow you to keep doing it, then the next employer is going to fire you. So because I don't want you to get fired, I'm going to correct you while I have you. And they'll look at me and say, Ms. Richardson, really? I say, yes. They're going to fire you. If you keep coming in late, if you keep mouthing off like you're doing, the next employer, they're going to fire you. So I'm going to help. Let's get that corrected. So when you leave me and go somewhere else, you'll be a better you.
All right, thank you.
I wish we had more people in our society like Sandra, because it's pretty much the same traditions and morals and values that I grew up on, It's pretty old school. Get your feelings in check. There's always the belt close to you. You might want to watch your tone for a little bit. So, I pretty much grew up in that. Even though I'm young, in the middle part of the 90s. I was born in the middle part of the 90s, but still, same value. But
I'm old. I am old.
Hello again.
All right, go for it.
So this question is for Ms. Richardson specifically. You mentioned in your presentation a lot about being assertive and the assertiveness. So my question is for women, especially for women of color, how do you balance the need to be assertive and self-assured with the potential of backlash or pushback that may arise in the workplace for advocating for yourself?
So we talked about that a lot yesterday, and we mentioned that there was a professional way to be assertive and a non-professional way. And the professional way is being confident in what you know, stand for what you know, but then you gotta have to know how to disseminate that. All right. Once again, it's about our tone and our deliverance, because I'm responsible for what I say and how I act. So if I'm in a meeting, and I had this to happen probably about a month ago on a call where a gentleman was being very rude, and so he kept cutting me off, and finally I said, "Hold 1 second." I am going to finish what I have to say, and then I will allow you to comment. And he stopped. But it was strong, but it was, everybody was like, I'm so glad you finally said that, because it was, but I had enough. But I said, hold 1 second. I just heard what you said. Allow me to say what I'm going to say, and then we're going to move on. So we talked a little bit more about that yesterday, too, but then we're going to have to know when to say it's not going anywhere. If he had kept on, I would say, the discussion is now over. We're going to table this for today, and we'll come back and revisit another day. Class dismissed.
That's it.
So you know what I'm saying? But I didn't yell. I didn't raise my voice. I did not use profanity. I did not cry. I was stunned firm on how that meeting was going to go, and it was going to go one way or the other. And I was prepared for either way. Either you're going to stop interrupting me and let me finish, or I'm going to cut the meeting off. So all I'm saying is that we got to get our emotions in check. We can't go in there crying, screaming, yelling, using profanity, unprofessionalism. We cannot go in there like that, because at that moment, we're just now being coned as angry woman, emotional, you know, she just all over the place. And then we give a person an opportunity to know what pushes our button. Never give a person an opportunity to push your button. Now, after the meeting was over with, y'all know I was like, to myself, I had my own personal ramp. But I didn't do it then. I kept my composure. And as women in particularly, we're gonna have to learn to do that, because we are coned of being emotional creatures. And we are emotional. We're genetically made for that. Nurturing, you know. And things can sometimes make me cry. But I gotta hold my road when I'm in those type of professional environments. So be prepared. Know what you know. Yesterday I told them that your yes be yes and your no be no.
Yeah.
But you gotta be prepared now. And then if you just have to, you're just going to if you decide to be passive and say nothing and do not be assertive, just remember now, you made that choice. Yeah. That today I had my opportunity to say what I needed to say or stand on what I believed in, but I took a seat and decided not today. Maybe because today I was going to be too emotional, so I decided to take a seat back. But tomorrow, catch me on a good day after I go home and get a night's sleep, do a little pep talk to myself. I'm gonna come in tomorrow being professionally assertive.
And I remember your 3 C's from yesterday,
Yes.
combining control, clarity, and confidence. Yeah.
Gotta be confident.
If you want to write that down, combining control, clarity, and then the other C is confidence. Those are like techniques of assertive communication. Maintain your control. I learned that from Sandra.
Yesterday. Yeah, it was a class yesterday.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question.
Next question. We have 10 minutes remaining, so we have more time for questions. I could take you to the mic right here.
The airport. I gotta get to an airport. That's right. 10 more minutes.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Unfortunately, I came in late. I missed your part of your class, was getting lost. My name is Patrice Hopkins. I represent the Naval Air Systems Command in Patuxent River, Maryland. So my question is relative to performance. So I do have a tendency that I want to help everyone else. Right now I'm wearing 2 hats in acquisition and operations, and I'm helping 2 individuals who don't yet, they need training. And in fact, while I'm on this conference, I spent quite a bit of time trying to give a pass down to these individuals. And I think the team has become, and my leadership have become very reliant upon me, kind of taking care and making sure and helping everyone is in a good place before I leave if I'm gone for a long period of time. Well, something that I'm struggling with is while I'm helping to train individuals, and I'm not technically in a management position, I'm struggling with balancing to the level of performance that I want to. I'm not having time to do a quality check because I have to carve out time for these individuals to get them up to a certain level so they can support me because they came aboard so that it can relieve my workload. And how can I say this? So the first thing I could think of is, I know it's going to take a while to have these these individuals up to a certain standard. Meanwhile, I got to maintain my own performance. How do you balance if you are on the team and you are placed in a position of helping to train individuals, but you're trying to keep up and make sure you're maintained? No one's complaining. Honestly, the comments I get are, "Oh, Patrice, I don't know how you have time to do all of that. Oh my gosh!" But they see me with the late emails. "Oh, stop staying on the email. Oh, we see you at 10 o'clock at night, 6 a.m. in the morning." And I have a young son, and even though my husband's supportive, still, I say, you don't know the sacrifice behind the scenes. So I'm trying to see how can I help individuals while trying to maintain my level of performance. Because honestly, the expectation is I should keep here no matter what, even though I'm training. They say they're understanding, but they're not understanding. And I feel like my performance has lowered. I don't have time. And so, yeah.
It's probably.
Sorry, it was a long-winded
No, it's good.
story.
It's probably time to make the invisible visible. And what I mean by that is it's probably time to start having some conversation and dialogue with your leader to say, here are all the priorities I have on my plate for my own individual performance to meet my own goals and accomplish those in a way that is high quality like you're used to seeing from me. You probably don't realize here's all the stuff on my plate as it relates to training with these two individuals, right? So I took a few minutes and I looked back at my last 4 weeks on my calendar, and here's what it looked like for me. This is not sustainable. And so I think that's probably the best path for you, is to make the invisible visible with your leader and say, I need help prioritizing what needs to stay on my plate for my own personal deliverables and what I need to focus on and prioritize with the two people I'm training, so that we can have kind of a path forward and a plan to start moving stuff over to them. What should we be getting them competent in first, that I can take that off my plate and give it to them? And then what should we be working on to get them competent in next, so I can take that off my plate and give it over to them? And then I can add more of my own personal performance goals back in. But right now, I need help prioritizing, and I need to make what's invisible visible to you. To your point, you're gonna burn out. You have too much on your plate right now, right? And your own performance is gonna suffer. So I think it's making the invisible visible and kind of showing all that is there and saying, this is not sustainable for me. Let's figure out how do we create a plan that helps me and it helps them and it helps you. My perspective.
Yeah. So I got two parts to it. I think yesterday we talked about, too, how to say no in a way that it doesn't harm your career, harm you as a person, or, but at some point you're going to have to say no. But then the other one, and I'm a big component of this one, I make sure that I have a me time at work. On Wednesdays, from 12 to 3, they cannot put in meetings on my calendar. I have an out of office on. Nothing happens. I don't answer the call, nothing. No one comes to my office. That is my time.
Okay.
So maybe try that. You're going to have I don't know what it's going to be, 8 to 6, 8 to 3, 8 to 2, 4 hours, but you're going to have to say, this is my time. So the people that you're coaching knows that. Yeah. So they need to be doing something else while that is your carved time.
I appreciate that so much.
Strategy.
Thank you so much.
Strategy.
Yeah.
You're welcome. One more question.
Hi, Amelie is my name. You talk about a mentor. I don't have any mentor, so I want to, and you said to always have a mentor. So I want to know if you can give me some tip to choose a mentor. I want to see if I can choose one.
So I'll go real quick, and then I'll let Chris, because she talked a lot about that, is we're having a sponsor and a mentor are two different types of people. A mentor in life is, I think you need one from two aspects of life. I have a professional one, and I have one that's personal.
Life coach.
A life coach that I go to, and I can bounce things in my life off of. It's going to be someone, and listen, most people think it's someone that's older because they think they're more experienced. My son is 32 years old, and I guarantee you he got a mind of a 50-year-old because he's just like that. I can go to my son, this 32-year-old, and ask him some things because he's just mature, all right? The mentor needs to be more mature, though. They don't need... They can't just say to you anything that you're going to, because you're going to be riding off of what they say. You're going to take their advice. You're going to, kind of commercialize what they're saying to you. But in life, we all need someone we can go to. Not my best friend. I got good best friends for 50 years. No, it's another person that I can go to when there's something on my mind or something I want to know, professionally and life.
I was talking most professional.
Professionally.
Yes.
So if your job doesn't have a mentorship program, seek that, ask them. Most these days, all companies have a mentorship program where they pair you up with someone else. And that person's job is to check on you, call you, say, hey, what's going on? If you have any questions, they're there for you. That's what this mentor is all about.
I don't think.
You don't think your job have that? Well, won't you start it?
Excuse me?
Won't you start it? Suggest it. Say, hey, we need a mentorship program. I went to this conference and I learned about mentorship, and I think that'll be something that we need to do. I want to be a mentor, but I need a mentor. Talk about mentorship. It's so important to have someone to be like. It's kind of be like a little bit. You know what I'm saying? It's someone you can go to and bounce things off of.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most successful mentoring relationships are built on a genuine relationship. So the way to think about picking the right mentor in my mind is what Sandra just said. Who in the organization is in a spot that I aspire to be in? Could be the last spot, could be the next spot, could be anywhere in between, right? And how do I start building like a genuine relationship with them? Coffee chat, lunch, some informal conversations. And once you figure out like, hey, I can click with this person, I can trust this person, I think I want to ask them to be my mentor and to meet with me like quarterly and talk specifically about my career and my aspirations and what I should be doing to help me further that along the way. So it can, even if your company doesn't have a mentoring program, you can start the process of figuring out who the right mentor is just by simply looking at, okay, who in the organization is doing something I want to be doing, and reaching out to them. I personally have never said no to anybody in my company if they said, hey, Chris, can we have coffee? Can we chat for a few minutes? Can we have lunch together? I want to learn more about what your organization does and the people in your organization do. And it oftentimes starts out like that type of casual conversation. And once you start that process, you could keep going with it and see if you connect and click with that person. And at some point, it probably makes sense to say, would you be willing to be my mentor? You're working in a space that I'm interested in. You're working in a role that I'm interested in, and I would really appreciate your insights to help me work that way to get there. So that's some other thoughts.
Hey, get Chris's number before you leave here. I think she's a great mentor. Get my number. We'll be meant for you for as well until you get someone. We'll be happy to.
Yeah.
There you go. You don't have to be in the same space.
That's true.
Just be reachable.
True.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, in the interest of time, anybody else? We have 2 more minutes. We can take a short question. If not, just want to thank everybody for joining us today. Again, you could connect to us on LinkedIn. If you want to, there is, or in the conference app rather, or full bios are in the conference app. For students, I'm not sure if there are any students in here. If you're applying for CEU or PDH, you could click on the link in your conference app and go straight through the process and apply for your credits. Ensure to scan your badges on your way out, and we could continue our discussion in the hallway. All right, well, thank you guys. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Yeah, my fight is
Not really their goal. It's guiding our journey through countless days for a better tomorrow in every way. Groundbreaking research, wisdom's flow in every step, a legacy to show.